Hello and welcome to Andertons TV. My name is Jack Duxbury. He's Tay-Tay.
Yo.
And this is...
Andy Mack.
Thank you so much, Andy, for coming today. What have you brought with you?
So, I've brought the MPC One. Retro.
Yeah, you brought the floppy disk just to know how seriously legit things are going to get down today.
I was sent these actually from an end user on Instagram, so thank you. Yeah, originals.
And it's a big deal because it just looks unbelievable.
Yeah, you know, there's something very iconic about these colours. I was raised on these colours. You know, it was from the S1000 times, and I remember when I got the first unit through, I opened it out of the box and I was just like, wow, it just took me straight back. And this is what the response has been online. You know, everybody's fallen in love with the colours because it has a place in everyone's hearts, because a lot of our music careers started with these colours. You know, I suppose it's like a Ferrari. You know, if you get a Ferrari, it's red. You know, there's a colour concept to that, and it's the same with this. There's something special about it. You know, it's even got the original Akai logo.
It really feels like it. Taylor's seen me. I've been drooling since it's come in. It's just that, it seems like that way to have that feeling in your studio.
Yeah.
And check out the price online. It's a crazy price. And also, when you see what Andy can do with it, you'll think, why don't I have one? And you've got an idea of showing what you can do with it.
Yeah, you know, we live in an era now which is amazing for beat makers. There's so many people making music now, and this is a pure standalone MPC One is, so you don't need to be bound to the computer all the time. And the great thing about when you're creating all of these ideas, you just want to get on and just make them and just make as many as you can. And I think with a lot of the producers and beat makers, they are trying to really speed up the process of that. And this is what's so amazing about the MPC, is that you can just be creative all the time because of the speed. And that's what's always been renowned about the MPC, is the workflow. So what I thought was, what could we do that's different? You know, it's not a tech video, it's not, you know, it has this many MIDI tracks and stuff, because we do all that and it's all online and it's in our overview videos. So I thought, instead of doing, I can make a beat in 10 minutes style video, why don't we do, let's make 10 beats in 10 minutes. That's 1 beat a minute. Show you the pure power of this non-stop. Yeah?
I'm so down for it. Taylor's down for it. He's even got his phone of truth. Yeah. Taylor, throw us the phone of truth. Yeah.
And I've never done this before. I've never done 10 beats in 10 minutes. It's one after the other. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah. So it's...
and from what I heard you plugging it in, I have every faith this is going to be great. I reckon there might even be some spare time on here and we can sneak off to Subway. You never know.
Yeah. And if there's anything that's really good, you know, we might have to auction off the beats.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know? Or we'll send them out, get some
We've got a new digital download store, Andy. We could maybe cipher them off. Yeah. If Lee... Lee, I'm sure Lee will take all the money anyway.
Yeah. So there's obviously...
You're good to go.
We'll press the play button. There's nothing actually in memory.
You're proving.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get out of the way because I'll just get excited and you'll be like, who's that excited girl in the corner? And that's me. All right? Thank you so much, Andy, for this. Taylor and I are just going to get down in the corner and jam in the corner. You ready?
But if you want to come over and just jam with me, feel free, man.
Oh, thank you, mate. Here we go, guys. Thanks, Andy. Love you, mate.
Beat number 2.
Oh yeah.
3. Beat number 3. Or beat number 4.
Beat 4.
Take the tempo down.
Sick.
Beat 5.
Oh, man.
Six. Right, next one. You know what I should have brought for this one, don't you? So let's bring the tempo down for that. Make that 5. Beat number 9. Okay, so
The bass.
beat 10. Bonus beat.
Oh!
Just do a bonus beat. Bonus beat. So we need to add some swing on that as well. Bonus beat. There we go.
Tay-Tay's gassed. I'm going to be walking around like inappropriately in a gangster fashion today, I think, like, to get my subway. Andy, crikey O'Reilly. And that is magic to watch. I just want to jump in at the end and just say maybe what people are thinking there is there anything you could, like, any tips? Do you have, I saw some things like you're finding, because you could see that Andy's really, you're making those, but you're getting in the flow. I can see you get into the creative process really quickly.
Yeah.
What are the things that this bit of kit is giving you that allow you to do that? I can see some colours.
I tell you one of the most important things about what it is when you're working with an MPC, especially standalone, is that I've got no distractions, obviously apart from you.
Yes.
But I've got no distractions around me. I'm just focused on hearing the music, feeling the beat, hearing different melodics and stuff. So you're really isolated yourself away from everything, from, you know, having to go through 50,000 plugins or, oh, shall I start processing that kick? That's the problem when you're inside a DAW, is that you can get distracted very easily. So when you're sitting in front of the MPC, it's just you and the music, it's just you and the beat, and that's why you can work so quickly as well. So a lot of it is to do with your sound sets as well. Like if I had just a few drums or whatever, then there's not a great deal I can do unless I choose my sounds, because technically a sampler is a sampler. It doesn't have anything in it unless you put sounds in it or you use the factory library. So it is very dependent on using the sounds that we provide or what you provide. You know, you could turn this into whatever you want because you can put all your own sounds in it. So I always spend a lot of time prepping sounds and bringing things in and sampling, and this is where the tradition of sampling is so crucial, because this is where people get inspiration from bringing in chops, putting stuff onto the pads, and then they hear something from a chop, exactly what we were doing here. I was like, I'll hear something completely different from what you would hear. And then what the workflow gives you, it gives you the ability to quickly lay down your ideas so you capture the moment, right? And then you can move on to the next one. Like a really fascinating thing for me is that when you're making, I suppose when you're doing this as a profession, right, you are making a lot of music a day. You get into a cycle of just churning out one beat after the other, right? And then you'll try and get placements or whatever. So it's very important that you don't get hooked up on just one thing, and you could just keep your creative vibes moving forward. And that's what's amazing about it, you know, is the fact that I can just seamlessly go from one beat to another. And then once I've caught the idea, I can just go back to it and think, I'm going to go back to that tomorrow, get a keyboard, play some chords, play some melodies.
So all those beats you just made are in there now?
Yeah, and the great thing is that we could go, actually, it's a bit too fast. The label have got a vocalist, but it's a bit too fast. Or you can change the tempos, or we could take, for instance, we could go to...
There's a real sound in it.
Okay, so that's sound there. So then you could go to 16 levels, and then... So you could start tuning stuff and start getting creative, but one of the things I love... Okay, so we'll take that beat. What I want to do is I could go into this now. We could go to our snare, okay? So we go don't snap, so it's not going to snap to the time division. And then we can start moving it off the grid, right? So... So let's do the same with the hats. So we could go to the hats and I'll push them this way. So. So if we've moved those too much, we can just push them back. All of a sudden, and then you could start loosening up your programming. We could go into the velocities and change all those, or you could do it via the step sequence.
Wow,
and
the
draw them in.
screen works so well. And you're doing all the time, you're updating this software as well.
But yeah, all the time. But also what I love, and I do this a lot, if I like, say, the melodic idea or whatever, I can go back in and say, actually, I don't like the beat, so I'm just going to get rid of that, and I'm going to start again. And I might go onto a different track and change my drums out.
Do you have a convention to how you lay things out, melodic stuff up here, well, and then does that allow you to do that? Yeah, because
I also run all of the expansion and sound content divisions. So we've come up with a concept where this is the configuration of the best way to play drums and melodics and stuff. And I think what we try and achieve is that when someone turns to a kit, right? So they go to a kit, they want that kit to do something. They want to be inspired straight away, because if I think back to the very early days of samplers, especially when I used to work at Andertons back in the day, right? You would turn it on and there was nothing in it, right? And we used to have this is quite relevant actually. Yeah. We used to have the Zips, we used to have the iAmega drives and I think it was the SideQuest drives or whatever. Anyway, so people would come in and they want to copy the library, right? Because there was no sounds inside. So one of the things I really wanted to do was to make sure that when you turn the unit on, you have a whole bunch of sounds that inspire you, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we create with very high-end professional sound designers that give you the ability to do this. And that's really important, because at the end of the day, when you touch those pads, you want to feel something straight away, every time. And it's very gratifying.
We feel it watching you. It's like you're like a lightning strike. And if you haven't touched the pads, I was saying to Taylor, you've got because you haven't played one, have you? So afterwards, we're going to get Tay on there, because Taylor's a drummer.
Right,
and
okay.
I was saying, man, you've got to feel the pads. Yeah. Like, he's a pad virgin. If you've not felt it, it's just...
And it is. And as soon as you touch them...
It's a unique thing, man.
And, and there's a big craze as well. There's a lot of amazing finger drummers out there as well that lead a whole example of what you can do with an MPC. So there's different ways...
Is there any other people other than yourself that used to... Because I get it, maybe you've stumbled across this, you watch the keyboard videos or something, and you're like, I'm not sure who is a good exponent to go watch at the moment.
God, do you know what? There's so many. Right, so there's David Fingerhanes, and we've known David for a long time. He is incredible because he plays it like a drummer. Okay, his positioning of his fingers are completely different. Where Arab Music is another. He's a beast on this. He plays a very different style than David. So and then there's Jay Black as well. So everyone's got their own technique. Same as a guitarist, different way people play lead solos and everything. So it's become an instrument in itself, but people will program it how they feel comfortable. Like, some amazing people that I know, they will play stuff by single notes, but what they build is like a painter. They start off a blank canvas, and then when you see the finished picture, it's incredible.
I love the way I just want to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to do
So,
what Andy...
you know, as let's do a really basic lesson, okay, right? So,
That's what I've been angling for, thanks, Andy. So purple look like melodic chops.
yeah, so if you ever see anything purple, you know, I'll
figured
press
that out
that
just from watching you, yeah.
and I'll sound good, right? That's the key, right? So if anything, you're in a situation, oh God, I need to look good, right? And everyone will go, yeah, wow. And then if you really want to be a little bit more creative, you could experiment and press the 16 levels, which then basically chromatically puts the pitch in across the pads. So you can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really useful because especially if you're doing stuff like 808s and stuff, you can just take that and tune it to your beat instantly. But it goes back a lot further than that. You know, when people started to chop up samples, they could manipulate the pitch of the sample by just taking out one pad and then repitching it across the pads. So all of a sudden you could start making melodies from that one sound. And that works on so many different scenarios to just repitch stuff. So
when you hit that, are you hearing a tempo? I saw you then adjusting the tempo a lot at the beginning. You went, oh, okay. Are you hearing a in your head, and then you find the click track?
Well, okay. So let's experiment. Okay, so let's find. Find a few. So when you hear that, tell me what tempo you hear, right? So okay, so we've got
that's
a tempo
in my brain. Thank you.
Okay, so let's do that. So what type of hi-hat pattern are you hearing?
Like eights, isn't it?
So what you can do, you can...
And then you're realising, oh God, it's his brain. It's his brain, it's his knowledge.
So we can... So if you don't have much rhythm, okay, you could use note repeat and just hold it down.
With a bit of swing on
It's
there.
got a bit of swing, so we can take our swing off. Okay, we'll put our swing down, back to where it was. So this gives us the ability to just lay down the basic rhythm. Okay. So you've got that, and then you could take the 16 levels and we could repitch this.
Oh, for pitched hats.
Yeah. So already you're still in the creative.
From watching you, red's kicks,
Yeah.
yellow's the snares.
That's right, you got it.
That's it.
So we're going to change let's just change the time division, because if we need to be on 16.
And is that, so can I, is that, can you tell it to, when I'm playing the pads,
Yeah.
I'm scared that I'm always a bit like wonky with my timing.
Yeah.
Is that, does it instantly
Yes,
put you in time, or?
I've got quantize on, so let's do quantize off. So now what it would do, so now it's going to record whatever my timing is, okay?
Yeah. Woo! And I can see where we are in the pattern with this bar going across.
Now, what we can do though is we can go. There's my snare, so we can go into this. You see how late those two are. So we could just pull those back. Oh, sorry, change those. Go nudge. There we go. So you've always got control. And then you can, so you're just bringing up. And then once you get to that level, or let's take that for instance, the shaker, right? Okay, we could go, oh, undo that, hold on. Let's take the shaker, use 16 levels, but we can use velocity this time.
Oh.
So you're always in the mindset. So but you can't create that kind of feel when you're just clicking.
I see you go straight there. It's like when I was a kid on the, like knocking on the table. It has that exuberance that you can get into it in a product like this. That I have an OP1 and I try line it up in Logic.
Yeah.
But this is all coming out of this box. And just state the blooming obvious. You don't need anything else. You just buy this box.
No, that's it. Everything's in it.
And you can even play audio tracks into it, right?
Yeah, you can record audio, guitar, you can do everything you need to make music. And you've also got to remember that people were making some of the most incredible music when MPCs were out back in, you know, when it started in 88, you know, with very limited RAM and stuff. So now, you know, with where we've taken these MPCs now, there's so much incredible power inside that you can load up so many samples, you can trigger loops, you have plug-in instruments inside, you can do chord progressions and everything that the modern day producer needs now because of the leaps forward in technology. And that's why these devices have become so popular in our culture now, and they're a very important part of the creative process, because as you can see here, like when you asked me to come down and do a video, I'd be like, well, what should we do today? And it's like, well, let's just do a creative one, just show how much freedom you can have just sitting in front of an MPC and just making some music. Like, also just to flip that, if we go, let's just use that kit. Let's go to a plug-in instrument, okay? And so we've got Rhodes here. So we'll go Shift and we'll go into Notes mode, and then we'll go to Progressions. And then we can pick some different types of progressions to use. Let's go down to here. And you can create all your own progressions as well. So if you want to play a bunch of chords, you can do that and then save them and create all your own custom chord progressions. We've got some chords here.
It's got a sound out the speakers, man. Everything, the way it's kicking out sound is cool.
Okay. So we'll go to, let's go to 90 beats per minute, 40. So that's another, I think that's 14 or 15. No, we've done that, right. That's an album.
But where did they go? Like, when you bought them...
I know, I've got a hard drive that obviously has probably got about 15 years worth of demos, and there's probably so much stuff there that I've done over the years, just doing, you know, demos and stuff all over the world. But that's what you do. You would take these processes and then decide, hey, I'm going to call up my friend, I'm going to bring a bass round, you might have a bass session guy, but these are like, they're just the foundations of the idea. So what I'm trying to, I suppose, demo here is the fact that it's limitless what you can do. If you can't play chords and stuff, you can utilize these features to play amazing chords. And some people who come up with the best chord progressions are not necessarily the best keyboard players in the world, or don't even understand a note. And what's great about technology, it allows people to get their ideas out, you know. I'm not a great keyboard player by far, but I can play some amazing chords.
Licks.
Yeah, maybe licks, but yeah.
The fieriest licks. Just one thing. So where do they get stored? You know, when you brought them back, how do they? Sorry, I'm such a layman. Are they?
So everything goes onto the SD card.
And we stayed in this Andertons Beat Challenge thing, like an umbrella over the top of it. Are they?
Yeah. So that's a project. So everything within my project. So I might call a project, you know, my weekly beat making process. So within that project, everything I've made that week is in that project. Or each project could be your beat as well, so you name the project according to your beat. Or like some producers do, they have a sound set that they always use. That's their sound, and they've crafted that sound, and it could be, you know, I don't know, 128 samples or whatever. Because remember with this as well, one drum program can go across all eight banks, so it gives you 128 samples per drum kit. Each track can have its own drum kit, and you've got 128 tracks that you can apply a different program on every single track. So you're never ever gonna...
So those beats you did in the 10, you thought of them as tracks?
Yeah.
And each, and they kind of just paired up to each other, so like...
Yeah, basically, so a sequence I would class as my beat, right? So a sequence is my beat. I would name the sequence according to what I think my beat is. Sometimes if you're approaching it as a song, a sequence might be a part of a beat. Could be the intro or the verse or the chorus, and then the project becomes the song name. You know, so there's different ways that you can work that suits your production method. But the key thing is
that speed. That's magic, man. That's like a magic trick.
And again, I'm just touching the surface with this. You know, I'm showing you the bare basics of the unit. You know, we can get into drum layering, like just say for instance we've made a beat here, right? I'll just show you one more example. Again,
so you go
really
hunting
quick
for a sequence.
So I'm like, let's go to there's a particular loop in here.
'Cause that's one of the things that when I've sat at one before, maybe because it's so open-ended, I felt like I don't know what to do with all these options.
Okay, so So we got that there, okay? So now I could go to track 2, but I'm going to pick a different drum kit. But what I'm going to do is go to my program edit, and I actually want to start layering some kicks up. I want to just do something a bit different.
So multiple samples on one pad.
Yeah. So my snare now it's going to have 3 layers on it. To my kick, let's put a little hat underneath that just to give it a bit of, there we go. So now I've got just a few layers. That's out of tune, so you could either go to 16 levels, tune it. So. So you can do all these things where you can just flip the notes really quick. Just keep you in the vibe.
Oh, Taylor, we're going to get Taylor onto it, and he's already looking on the website. He's looking on the website. Honestly, man. Because I've looked at buying the old ones, because, you know, I'm one of those guys who are like, well, I'm a bit irrationally snobby. I'm like, well, I'm going to go to the end. I'll probably want the old one. But this has all the livery and all the controls. It seems like very honest to the old ones as well.
Yeah, and
like I asked you, if you had one back in the day, you're going to feel just as at home, and you could almost forget that there's a touchscreen, right? And
you know, and the great thing about it as well, it's everything that we do is you can do all of the modern types of beats, you can do everything that's current today, you can do all of the old school, you can do house, you can do garage, you can do everything. You know, there's so many different ways that you can make music from an MPC. It's
amazing, and we're going to have you back soon because you've got a big old.
So let's just do something really quick modern, right, as well, just before we go. So let's step this up to 143. So what we want to do now is just take the 808.
Where are you turning the click on and off?
No, as soon as you hit record,
it just does it.
Comes in, comes off.
All of those things are so smooth and
yeah. But I'm trying to showcase the speed. And, you know, when you're in your own environment, you know, you don't necessarily have to do things this quick, but you can if you want to work that way.
But it's a dream for people are lying. If you're not, if people are like, oh, you're lying, we'd all want it to be that quick.
No, funny thing is, right, one of my friends, big producer, and he said to me, it was really interesting, he said, if it's not working in the first 5 minutes, move on to the next one, because it's not going to work after that. And he's 100% right. I always find some of the stuff that I really spend time on, I've captured the moment straight away in the first 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most. Anything after that, I just delete it and move on to the next one, you know, because it's capturing that moment. And that's what I love about this. You just come in, just put so many sounds into this, and you never know where you're going to go. And with all of the chopping facilities that you have now, where you could just take a simple sample like that, and you think, actually, I'm just going to chop that, go straight into chop mode, get to the sample, there's the chop. And then once you've done the chop, we've chopped the sample, and now we can 16 level that. And then you could just do something completely different.
Man. I just did a video showing off like, oh, look at what I can do on my OP1. And I'm like, I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming, mate.
Yes, pleasure.
We'll have you along soon again.
Yeah.
Because I hear there's some developmentes in the can where everyone's going to have a better life because of it. Thank you, Tay Tay, as ever, for manning the ship. And if you like what we're doing, consider subscribing. If you don't, let us know. We can cope with it. Andy and I can cope with the hate. Type it. I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks again, Andy. Oh, what an honour. Come on! Right, Taylor, you got to have a go on it. Can you set them up? Because you've never felt the pads before. You got to get on there.